Coming up on this episode of Don't Panic, we're covering the best and the worst of CES this year. We also talk about Google invading your home via Nest and some really fancy coffee. All that and more on tonight's Don't Panic.
This is Don't Panic, episode number 29, recorded January 13th, 2014, on Google's Nest, Oculus Rift 2.0, and the best and worst of CES.
Good evening and welcome. This is Don't Panic, the ultimate technology podcast on gadgets, the internet, and you. I'm Sean Jennings, joined as always by Dan Miller and Colby Rabideau, now in their respective homes across the nation. And we're coming to you live, coast to coast, with the latest in technology news right here. Of course, we do the show live every Monday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific at our website, don'tpanic.io. There you can also get recorded versions after the fact. You should go to our website because it's new and awesome, thanks to Colby and Dan, who have just done an outstanding job of the new website. And I do want to mention,
better.
It does. We have a mobile version now, which looks great. Where our pics are on each page when you go to look at the show.
To be fair, we had a mobile version before. It just wasn't very good.
Well, you weren't supposed to. All right. Well, it's great now. So watch it on your device. Subscribe to us on iTunes, all of that jazz. I do want to mention, if you're listening live, okay, there is 1 hour left to enter our Don't Panic mug giveaway. 1 hour at the end of the show, essentially. It's done. We're going to pick two winners, and this is essentially what you're going to get. It's going to have our logo. It's going to be the nice red, and ours say official host. Yours won't because you're not an official host. Maybe it'll say official contest winner or something. I haven't decided yet. But you're going to get a beautiful Don't Panic mug delivered straight to your door, provided you live in the United States. So enter at our Facebook, facebook.com/don'tpanicshow. And win yourself a free mug. It's free. Who doesn't like free stuff, right?
No. Sean, did you get a haircut?
I did. Thank you for noticing. And, I went out and I bought a hairdryer.
Really?
The sort of little coif I got going in the front here, that's all. There's no product. That's just a hairdryer.
Oh, dang.
And because, I don't like to use product in my hair. It gives me a little bit of dandruff. And you know how you kind of get that sticky, shiny. I never cared for this. So, no, it turns out you can just get a hairdryer and just go at it.
That's crazy.
Thank you for noticing.
Use your steamer? You can't use your steamer on hair?
Well, the problem is my hair's already wet, so I don't know. Maybe I'll dry it with the hairdryer and then steam it. This is why we're a technology podcast and not a hair care podcast, for good reason. So, glad to be here. Why don't we kick it off? There was a big story that came out today. Google. What?
I said it's Stig Bori.
Yes. To me, it just sounded like like hilarious, Colby.
As usual.
As the world knows, Google has all the money. Want to know how much? How about $55 billion in cash? Well, if you're wondering where they're going to spend it, today they wrote a little check to a company called Nest for $3.2 billion, that's with a B, dollars in pure, cold, hard cash, which I like to imagine was delivered in an armored truck to the Nest headquarters. Probably not. As many of you may know or may not know, Nest is the maker of the Nest wall thermometer, and of course
thermostat is the word you're looking for.
Oh, what did I? Oh, I said thermometer. No, you're right, thermostat. And the same way. And the Protect, which is their new smoke detector. They were recently valued as high as $2 billion. And as we said, they were just acquired for 3.2. I'm going to try and pull up some information here.
So I bought the Nest smoke detector. Did I tell?
No, you didn't.
That?
No.
Yeah.
How is that?
A week or two ago. I mean, it's great. I tested the turn it off without having to get up on a chair and touch it with your hand functionality, and the mute functionality, which is awesome. Which is all I wanted, and it just works. And I think that's the real promise of Nest, is that it's not that hard to make us. I guess it actually is really hard to make a smoke detector. That was probably one of the harder things they could have made, because there's all these regulations about smoke detectors and how they work and what they can and cannot do. But it's easy to make a thermostat or a smoke detector, but it's not easy to make them work really well and in like a different way that's better and look really cool and like Apple-y industrial design wise. So that's the promise of Nest, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about. I'm excited about the Google acquiring thing because hopefully it's as they say, and it just means that they have more money and that they can release more than one product every 2 years. But I don't know. Nest felt good to me because it's like, oh, it's this small company that's doing new innovative things, and I'm giving them money, and it's not Google or Amazon or Microsoft or Facebook. I'm not sure I'd buy a Facebook smoke detector, but you know, it seems like everything's tied into those, and this was just something that wasn't.
Yeah. I feel a little weird about it too. They kind of like, I don't know. They seem like so successful on their own.
Right.
Like, why did they have to sell out?
Well, we're not business.
For 3.2 Instagrams.
Well, that's fine. You know, and I'll tell you, I think the day of the small startup growing to large business is on the verge of being over. I think if I were to start a tech company today, my goal would be to be acquired. Period. I would not shoot for IPO. I would not shoot for major status because that's just the way. There's these big players. No one is surprised that Nest got acquired. Google may be being a surprise, possibly, but I mean, all these companies are prime for acquisition.
But you don't need to.
I think this would have been fine on their own, to be honest. Like
maybe eventually, but why not take the money now? These guys who created it, they used to be Apple engineers. They get folded into Google. They get all kinds of access to all kinds of technology, all the money they could want. You know, I mean, Nest gets a good home, and that was the other thing I wanted to talk about, why Google bought Nest.
Because they want to be everywhere.
Well, no, but think about it. Google is almost everywhere, but where isn't Google? Your home. Exactly. Google TV failed. Remember the Nexus Q, the little ball thing? Failed.
I wanted that. And they had the Android, didn't they have some, like, a home automation standard that they tried to push?
Yes!
Along with the Nexus Q?
Android at Home, I think it was called?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I'm really excited about that.
And Google has been a failure, and as companies learn, when you can't do it yourself, find someone who can. And these guys, let's be honest, are probably one of the best out there doing it. So, to me,
I totally understand why Google would be interested.
You're just bummed.
I take issue with your premise that, like, if you run a company, you should be going to get acquired. Like, that's so depressing.
It is, but it's
that paints a bleak picture for our future, Sean. That's not very America-y.
There's going to be one or two successes.
America.
We just saw Snapchat turn down a huge amount of money. They're going to make a go at being their own company.
Yeah,
good for them.
Snapchat's like a stupid social company. I don't care about that. I mean, like,
the hardware
is a real company with a real, like, an actual product, a thing that they made that was.
But to be fair, a Nest thermostat is $250. A smoke detector is what, $130?
Mm-hmm.
That is not everyday man pricing. When you have a one-bedroom apartment, it's okay. You cannot outfit a whole house affordably in Nest products. You can't do it. They're not there yet. I hope Google can help them bring those costs and make them more mainstream. But I think if they had just done it on their own, would they have gotten there eventually? Probably. I mean, they're kind of a leader in the field, but it would have taken a lot longer. We wouldn't see as fast of innovation. And if Google didn't buy them, someone else would have. You know, what if an utility had bought them, which is a real possibility, or like a Westinghouse or a Honeywell, a company that makes boilers? I mean, that would have sucked. So, you know, I'm trying to stay optimistic, but
I am excited about the possibility of Google doing googly things with Nest data, because Nest promises a lot of stuff, and the thermostat works pretty well, and it like knows when people are in the house, but I think there's a lot more you could do if you knew the temperature in every room and the patterns.
I mean, like that plus Google Now gets cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
can anyone hook into Google Now, Colby? Since you're now an Android person, can apps just Google Now themselves? Can they become Google Now?
I have no idea. There is quite a bit of stuff in Google Now. Like this morning, I woke up to a notification from Google Now letting me know that it was going to take there was a ton of traffic on the way to work, and it was going to be a long ride.
So you don't know if you could write an app that...
Yeah, Dan, as far as I know, it's select developers. It's not an open API. You know, like an open table and apps like that I think have worked with Google, but it's kind of like Siri. It's the same way. It's select companies get picked, and then, who knows, maybe one day an open API, which is a little bit of a bummer, but...
It'd also be pretty weird, though, because how does that data manifest itself to a developer? Like, what do you see? Do you just see everything? You're like, here's where this person works, and here's where they travel during the day, and here's their email, and here are their text messages, here's the TV shows they watch. Is that how that works?
I feel like it'll more be a, like, you can provide this, I don't know how they would do that in an open way. Like right now, there's like movie recommendations in Google Now is the one of the newest one I've seen, and they have like sports stuff and
well, I mean,
things like that.
One of the potentials I could see would be, I'm sure Google has some proprietary weather system, computer system, that if you could connect Nest with the weather in your area and there's a sudden cold snap, your Nest knows.
And Nest already does that.
Does Nest already do that?
Yeah.
Ah!
I don't know how sophisticated it is, but it does ask you what your zip code is, and it shows you the outside temperature based on that.
Cool.
It'll be interesting to see. I just want them to get the price lower. That's the only thing. I want to see this go more mainstream, because right now I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is. I mean, it's Apple-y, right? Like Dan said, it's not.
It's a premium.
Right.
Do you guys think they'll keep selling this at the Apple Store?
The Nest? Oh, I don't know.
I mean, there's no reason why Google wouldn't want them to sell it at the Apple Store.
No, I think Google would want it. I'm saying, does Apple want it?
Right.
It's not like it's a I big money maker for Apple.
I think at some point... Like,
I bought my smoke detector Nest at the Apple Store.
You what?
I bought my Nest smoke detector at the Apple Store.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
I also hope that Google opens up the Nest API, because then it gets really interesting. Because then other things can hook into your Nest stuff, so you could buy like one Nest smoke detector, put it in your entryway, and then you could get notifications whenever the motion detector comes on, which would be cool.
Well, and you know, you want to see Nest expand to more products than just these two. You know, a Nest door lock, a Nest, you know, just various things around your home. We talked about the Internet of Things, as we're going to continue to talk about as we head into our...
A smooth segue, if ever I heard one.
I don't know. I have a small comment. I don't think I would ever want an Internet-connected door lock. Like, I understand the convenience, but...
I agree. It doesn't need to be...
for disaster is so much greater.
It is a gimmick. It's totally, at that point, it's a gimmick. There's really
always have a key that opens it.
No, yeah, but like that it could be opened without the key is the thing that makes me uncomfortable.
Yes.
Fair enough.
That's like door locks aren't that great anyways. Like you probably should make them shittier. Putting them on the internet. God.
Well, we'll keep an eye out on that, see how Google does. Now, of course, if you watched last week, we had our biggest show to date covering the announcement mania at this year's Consumer Electronics Show, CES. It's finally over after a week of nonstop news, and Dan came up with the wonderful idea of why don't, instead of going through another litany of announcements, because we hit the majority of the big ones last week, there were just a few more, but not super important, for each of us to come up with our favorites of CES this year and what we thought was the worst of CES this year. I am going to jump in and go first, and I think we'll do the three best, and then we'll do our three worst.
Okay.
And as many viewers know, if you're a regular viewer, I am skeptical when it comes to things of the future, okay? Just ask me about Bitcoin, and you'll understand. Another thing I've been really skeptical on is 3D printing, okay? I think it's a gimmick, and I don't think it'll ever become mainstream. But I'm slowly changing my opinion on that. As new announcements come out, it gets smaller, less expensive, more high quality. I'm slowly changing my mind. One thing I've been waiting for 3D printers to do. I want them to print me food. Because that's the future, right? That's the future. And like the Jetsons and all that, you push the button and food comes out. Yes!
Star Trek.
That is the one thing I've been waiting for, and luckily it was announced that a company called Chef Jet announced their 3D printer at CES. Now, this 3D printer prints candy out of sugar, so you're kind of limited. If you don't have a sweet tooth, it's not for you. But it is one of the world's first. It uses a combination of sugar and water. And look at these cool shapes it can make. Let's see if I can get it better. So this is candy that was 3D printed, all using. And if you get the more expensive model, you can do color. Otherwise, it's just white. And it can print all kinds of intricate shapes inside of shapes, and really cool things. Now, I know it's not the most practical thing. It's not for everybody. But this signals to me that we are on our way to food being printed in 3D. And what's great is, Colby, you threw this in the doc. I hadn't actually seen this.
I had a tertiary link, which was not actually announced at CES, but
I'm just happy to see it
shown to me, and it actually prints food. Like the screenshot, the pictures they have it's printing a pizza. Which, I mean, it looks disgusting, but holy shit.
Well, they make ravioli, and
it looks like a little Celeste.
It does. So obviously, here in this picture, this is, I believe this is ravioli that they 3D printed. Again, we're very early in the process, but if there's anything that's going to get me excited for 3D printing, it's food. Because I don't need little plastic toys that I can print at home, okay? That I don't want. But food, you've got me. So to me, what got me really excited about CES was 3D food printing being sent to the masses. So that was my excitement. Not necessarily the most high-tech thing, but I want candy, and I want a candy shaped like my head or something. I don't know. In addition to, we didn't talk about it, but there was a great 3D scanner as well that came out at CES. So 3D's getting there. I'm excited. All right, who wants to go next with their best stuff?
I wanted to go next because you transitioned to the Internet of Things, but then you didn't talk about a thing of the Internet.
Well, Dan, I'm going to be quite honest with you. You posted this in the document. I don't understand what it is.
Okay.
So I couldn't transition to it.
All right, well, I'll transition to it.
I'm confused, easily.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen because they have a nice, pretty website. So it's this thing called Canary, which is located at the URL canary.is, and this wasn't announced to the knowledge of no one in the world at CES, but it was there, and that's how I heard about it. And basically, it's this little tower, little cylinder thing. They bill it as a smart home security device, but that's really only half of what it does. So it has HD video camera, motion sensors, temperature sensors, air quality, vibration, sound, activity sensor, as if those other things didn't cover activity. And basically what you do is you plop this thing down somewhere, like in your living room or in front of your door or in your bedroom or in all of those places, and they network together, and it reports on all of those things. So you can see the humidity, it can send you push notifications when there's unexpected activity in your house because it knows when you're normally not there, and then you can just turn on the video camera and see what's happening. And a lot like Nest, to me this looks like one of those things. Here it is. Looks like there's some movement at home. Are you expecting anyone? You can call, you can trigger a siren, or you can look at the video. So a lot like Nest, you could do this. I've thought about building this for months now with like a Raspberry Pi and some electronic parts from Amazon. But like, this is so cool. It's $200, which is pretty reasonable for a 720p camera and all the stuff you get, plus the service. And it appears like it would work. Just does everything I want for home security. I don't know if that call button is to call like some like alarm center like the other alarm companies do, or what. But that would be cool. But it looks like it does what I want, and it's so much easier than building it myself. It's way better than having some stupid webcam that I go to an IP address to look at, and maybe it has some silly motion detection, but I don't know if it's that great, and it sends me an email, it's like, this is way better. So it's canary.is. Does that explain it to you, Sean?
It makes much more sense. I'm a fan of the shiny website. When you scroll and it looks pretty, but I needed more information and they didn't give it to me, but you did. What's funny is I've been away from my apartment here for a month, and I actually took an old laptop of mine, plugged in a USB webcam, installed some generic software, and had it set up to motion detect. Well, every single day when the sun would come up, at exactly about 9:30 in the morning, the light would change enough to make the focus on the camera go off. So the motion sensor was essentially useless, because every day at exactly 9:30, and then again when the sun was setting like around 3:30, it would set off. So I had all these files of all these recordings of just the light changing. So I absolutely agree that it's all about, we've talked about this, it's about simplicity. It's not about building Raspberry Pi, because your average person isn't going to do that. So this looks like a really great solution for someone who needs a simple way to do security in their home.
Yeah, and if you ever wanted to like prove to your landlord, like, oh man, like the heat turns off, or when I get up in the morning, it's like 14 degrees in here, you can show them the graph, and that's really cool. Or it's just too dry or too humid, or you can, yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked about how important data is, and I think this is going to be a great source of that for people to really look at and be able to use over time. So that's cool. $199, canary.is.
Yep, and they can network together.
Oh, neat.
You get multiple.
Oh, you get them for your whole house.
Yeah.
Think of that. All right, Colby, you are going to the kitchen?
See, I've been thinking about kitchen things a lot lately for whatever reason, but apparently I'll share my thing. But apparently at CES, Whirlpool announced a touchscreen kitchen surface. This is what it looks like. I don't think there's any more pictures. Yeah, that's it. And this is like super early prototype. I don't think it even touches, like, I don't know if this screen even touches really. Maybe it does a little. But it's clearly like a projection right now, which is like weird. But basically the idea is it's like, like a computer kind of thing. Like it's a touchscreen surface, but it's also one of those induction like stovetops. So if you don't know what that is, basically it uses like science to you buy special pans, and the stovetop like it like excites the molecules in the pan, and that's how it heats the pan, but it doesn't actually, like, the surface itself doesn't get hot at all. So the only heat is it just heats the pan itself without heating anything else.
That was the first thing I thought of when I saw this picture, was that lady's going to burn her hand.
I just thought that too.
I'm glad that the surface is not hot.
Right. So like the pan will get hot, and like under the pan would probably be hot a little because the pan's hot. But if you like, you can like touch the stovetop and it'll be fine. And you can use, like, you have, essentially infinite space. You're not limited to like 4 burners, because who wants to be limited to 4 burners? But then it's also
so this is like Microsoft Surface, the original Microsoft Surface, the interesting cool one. But a stove, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was cool.
No, that is. I like the fact that it's a projection, which is a lot more affordable and safe and convenient than using a screen or something. And the fact that I think the kitchen is a really great place for something like this, where you have large flat surfaces. So that's neat.
Actually, thinking about it more though, I feel like it could still get hairy. Like you're supposed to be touching the thing that has all the hot stuff on it. It could get weird.
Yeah, and putting a projector that has to ingest air above a stove, which is constantly spewing polluted, smoky, grimy air.
I'm sure they could do something clever and have the projector not right above the stove.
That's funny.
Mirrors or something. You know?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, good. Hopefully we see, you know how CES is, though. You see all these prototypes, but, yeah, you never know. Those smart folks over at Whirlpool. All right. Well, now that we've talked about what we liked about CES, why don't we talk a little bit about what we didn't like so much. I am, again, going to jump in and go first. So there were a couple cell phone companies making an announcement. We talked about AT&T completely ruining net neutrality for everybody. There was also T-Mobile who announced they're going to pay your early termination fees if you come and hang out with them. Well, Sprint did not want to stay out of the picture, so they announced the Framily plan. That's right, you heard me correct. The Framily plan. What that is it's a horrific mashup of the words friend and family. Okay? So here's how it works. Guys, Colby, Dan, let's say we're not related. We're not family, so we can't be on a family plan, right? Even though technically we could be. I don't know what stops you, but okay, so we can't. So what Sprint says is, what if we pooled ourselves together? So the way this works is the initial line is $55 a month, but each user takes $5 off the price of every line until they reach the maximum discount of $30 per line. So, for example, a group of 7 people can score unlimited talks, text, and a gig of data for $25 a month per line. Each line is billed individually and allows each user to manage and customize their own plans without going through the central account holder.
So confusing.
Exactly. So here's why I picked this as one of my worst of CES. And there were many bad things, but this was my worst. One, the name is frankly horrific. Framily.
That's like something I would come up with.
It's just, come on, guys. Like, really, you've just given up. 2, the concept is difficult to understand and complicated. 3, nobody really even wants to go to Sprint, so I don't know how awesome this is going to be in getting people to come to your service.
I feel like Sprint's coverage is worse than T-Mobile.
It is actually. And Sprint isn't innovating as fast as T-Mobile is.
Colby, are you T-Mobile now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, you sounded pretty disappointed there.
It's noticeably worse than AT&T.
No, wow.
It's not to say that it's worse. Like where I have service, it's great. I just have service. I have good service in less places. But like the LTE is awesome.
No, it's good.
Yeah. I mean, I have no complaints. It's easy. Like it's easy to deal with. Like I could cancel anytime I want, which is nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Low commitment.
Yeah. So Sprint, thanks for playing. Nice try, but I think the Framily, they announced today that when what was it? T-Mobile came out with Jump, AT&T came out with Next, and whatever Verizon where you can more quickly upgrade your phone. Sprint announced theirs 1 month ago. They shut it down today because there was no interest. So we'll have to see how long the Framily plan. Oh my God, that's so bad. Just saying. You're
Say it again. Say it again.
Framily plan. Framily plan. Just ugh. Okay. I can't say it anymore. Dan.
Yes,
it looks
sir.
like you have the future to because video chatting is so difficult on an iPad.
Yeah, iPads totally weren't built for this.
Are
Clearly.
you listening, Apple? So tell us, what is the solution, Dan?
Honestly, I'm not even sure I understand. So here's this thing. It kind of resembles a periscope in real life, and it appears that it's designed to make the person look closer or taller. I don't really know. For starters, I don't even know. You are now looking straight ahead and not down. I see. So it uses mirrors and puts the image further up towards where your eyes would be rather than down at an iPad.
Because you don't want to be like this, right, talking to somebody?
Right.
Where you're looking at them from down here. You instead want to be at eye level.
Yeah. And it also does something with the camera to, like, receive your image in a certain way, too, which is, I guess, is really cool, but it defeats the whole point of video chatting on an iPad. We have laptops that are easily placed on surfaces at eye level, and probably have better cameras.
And if you're really hardcore, you can use an Xbox or a PlayStation, really, if you really need an eye-level big camera.
Yeah.
It's. I'll also point out that the app that ships with this monstrosity has a teleprompter function where a narrow strip of text will appear inside as you record a video.
Michael Bay should have had that.
Michael, yeah, exactly.
Aw.
That's awesome.
I didn't realize it needed an app. What else does the app do? Can you only like video chat with other people who have that app then?
No, it's for so you can record video. So it doesn't teleprompter while you're chatting.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, I mean, I guess if you're going to buy that big thing, you might as well.
Might as well.
I will say I think the worst part about most every video chat client is that you can't hide your picture in the fucking corner. Like, it's incredibly distracting, and like, I think that that makes it feel so much less real. Like at work we have like all the Cisco things for video chatting, and like those, I think by default they don't show your picture. And it's great because, like, at first it's off-putting because you're video chatting and you can't look at yourself instead of the other person. But then you just look at the other person and it feels so much more natural because you don't see this, like, you moving in the corner. Like, you don't have to look at yourself to, like, make sure you're not doing anything weird.
That's all I do.
And, like, I've never used a consumer video chat thing that let you do it. Like, I would even accept being able to make it incredibly tiny. Like, I understand it's useful for it to be there, like, so you know if you're actually recording video or something, but I hate it. I hate it a lot.
Ooh.
Well, I know all I do during this show is stare at myself, so
I know.
that we need that. And actually, Colby, you know, if you look with this device, when you look straight ahead, you don't really see yourself. You're kind of hidden down below, so...
Yeah.
Maybe this is for you.
You gotta get the iPad periscope, man.
You gotta get the iPad. Colby, how much would you pay for this?
$17.
17 and like a tag sale or something?
So plus tax, it's not over 20. I
Honestly,
think that's what he's going
cheap.
for.
That's a little steep. I think, like, I mean, maybe if I happen to have $17 in cash, I wouldn't use a credit card for that, though.
No.
It would be like change in my pocket.
Well, Colby, it's going to cost you $150. So
Absolutely not.
no, he's good. Thank you.
You can get a Nest smoke detector for that.
This amazing webcam cost me like what? It was like $50. That's fuck that shit.
All right, Colby, would you?
What's it rating?
Yes, exactly. We earn it. All right, Dan. You and I are gonna. I may not agree with you to put this under the worst of CES, but I want you to explain it first. So this is LG's Home Chat.
I didn't put that under.
Oh, Colby, I'm sorry.
What?
Colby, your worst pick. I'm sorry, I got confused.
Defend yourself.
The fucking texting your washing machine? Are you kidding?
Oh, this is really bad, Sean.
No,
I'm dumb.
But think about it.
So we've talked about this before. I'm all about, like, connecting to your home. I like data and graphs and stuff. But I think, I can't imagine any way to make it more useless than to make it an instant message chat. Like, I want things that engage me, not things I have to engage myself. It's so dumb. I don't who over there is like, what we can do? Text messages. Like, where are they selling these things that people don't have a goddamn smartphone that can do stuff? Like, they're not selling it anywhere. I don't know, man. It seems like a cop-out.
Here's my problem with it, Sean.
Yeah.
Under what circumstance would you engage your washing machine actively in anything when you're not standing right in front of it? You need to put soap in it. You need to put your clothes in it. Are you going to put the soap and the clothes in, leave, and then turn it on?
It's like, the only thing you need to know from your washing machine is when it's done, and it can easily tell you that without you doing anything.
Yeah. It has notifications built in.
Right.
And if I'm not there, I don't really care if my clothes are done. I clearly can't do anything about it anyways.
Instant messaging is such a compromise of the 90s. We gave up, we had to live with it being crappy, but you could instant message anyone right away. That's why it was cool, but we don't live in the 90s anymore. It's not the future.
Some of us still live in the 90s.
Also, typing on a keyboard is hard. It's hard. I mess up all the time.
All right, slow down. All right, take a breath. All right, here's why I don't think this is the worst thing, okay? We have said it a zillion times on the show. How do you get complicated electronic concepts to go mainstream? Make it simple, make it approachable. We learned WebOS. We learned people don't activate their smart TVs because they don't understand it. So how do you make an internet-connected washing machine? To me, sounds complicated, and I know a lot about technology. So what makes it easy and approachable? When you can just go on your phone, text, like you do all the time, to your washing machine and say, hey, schedule a look. Because here's...
What are you going to tell it, though?
Because here's an example of how this would work, right? You put
Does it load itself? Can you text it and be like, go get my laundry out of my room?
I have an example of when you would use this. So before you go to work, you put your dirty clothes in the washer, you put soap in the machine, and you leave for the day. Then 30 minutes before you come home, because you don't want to leave wet clothes in your washer all day, so 30 minutes before you come home, you text your washing machine in plain English, no apps, just in plain English like you do to everyone else, can you run a cycle? And it says, sure, and it gives you a little smiley face saying, you know what? We may think that's dumb, but I honestly think this is something my mom would use. I really do.
Then why not just have an app that you literally open and press the button that says start?
Because you already text. An app is a new thing you have to learn. Especially if this thing understands plain English well and just, can you start a load? Preheat the oven to 450. If you can just type that in 2 seconds and send it.
Now that makes sense. That makes sense. The washing machine doesn't make sense.
Well, I agree. It's not...
Oven, that'd be awesome.
Or an air conditioner or heater might make more sense.
Or an air conditioner or a heater. Nest already does that. But...
Well, and you have to remember, LG is doing this right now in Korea, and, so it's obviously not necessarily perfect for the U.S., but in concept alone, it sounds really stupid. I'm not going to disagree, but I'm going to give this one a little more credit. That's all I'll say. That's all I say. And I would love to have a fridge that texts me smiley faces.
But, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't even...
No, you're right. So, okay. That's fine. Thank you. So that was the best and the worst of CES this year. We have a few quick CES stories, and then we're going to get to our picks. A few things I wanted to mention. Do you guys remember the Polaroid TV they announced before CES? 4K for under $1,000?
Yeah.
From Polaroid?
There have been a couple of those now, right?
Well, it's interesting because this shows... So Polaroid was the first to announce. They said 50 inches, $1,000, okay? Well, people finally got to see it at CES, and unsurprisingly, it's terrible. There's, quote, a distinct lack of pop, color strobing, jagged, noisy pixels. Overall, while it is 4K, it's not a good panel. However, Vizio also announced a 4K TV at $999. Reviewers said that was one of the best televisions they saw at CES, even compared to televisions that were twice as much. Just goes to show, brand name does matter, and when you buy a cheap TV, you get a cheap product. So, keep that in mind. I don't have anything else to say outside that. Don't buy a TV from instant photography company Polaroid.
There are also companies making smaller 4K TVs that are like $500, and those are also really bad.
Yeah, I
read all about them this week.
You get what you pay for, and Vizio is kind of an exception. But in general, 4K is going to be expensive. It's new. Don't think you can. Even this past Black Friday, they had Seiko had 4K TVs for under $1,000.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah.
But why would you ever buy that? What a waste. Let's see what else. Other quick stories. PlayStation announced their PlayStation Now Cloud Gaming initiative, which is interesting. It's Colby was a big proponent of OnLive, right? Was that what it was?
Yeah, it's still a thing. I logged in the other day. I can still play games.
The company that would stream games over the net, PlayStation acquired how do you Gaikai?
Gaikai? Something like that.
I'm not good at pronouncing. Framily. So when they bought that cloud gaming technology, right now the way this works is it's games in the cloud. The game is played on the remote server, so you can play it on devices PS4, PS3, PlayStation Vita, and even televisions, tablets, and smartphones. It streams the game, and it's played on the remote server. Sony is doing a closed beta at the end of this month, and hopefully more broadly by the end of the summer. It's initially going to be rolled out on PlayStation 4 and 3, followed by the Vita and most 2014 US models of their Bravia TVs. All you need to play is a controller when it comes to the TVs. Yeah, that's mostly it.
Well, it got really good reviews, too, at least in the environment that it was played in at CES.
Yeah, they said, maybe I'm thinking of... No, I'm sorry. I was trying to, because I know they said about how much bandwidth you would need to really make it, and how much latency you would need. But I'm
4K.
That's exactly, and I just realized that, which is 15 megabits. So I don't know for this initially, but at least
less than that because it's not 4K.
Right, thank goodness. But it's the latency really that's the problem, not necessarily how quickly they can get that signal out. But early reviews said it's good. It'll be interesting to see. How well this works.
I'm just going to play like a single-player game, like any strategy game or any like party game.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not like super competitive multiplayer, I would totally do that. If it was just like $20 a month, Netflix, go at it. All PS3 and like PS2 and PS1 games, just go for it. That would be amazing.
Yeah, and the advantage is as well, legacy titles as well from your PS1 or PS2, because it's on the server, they don't have to worry about formats and things like that. So, PlayStation Now. Let's see, any other, we're going to skip some of this. A few really quick stories. Belkin announced their Wemo Smart Slow Cooker, which was one of my favorite things of CES.
That actually also kind of makes sense. As an internet-connected thing.
It weirdly, like as something you want to monitor and be able to turn on remotely, a slow cooker makes sense. They also, and the slow cooker is going to be $99 in the spring of 2014. It connects over Wi-Fi using the Wemo app. Yeah, that's it. It's very affordable. Although
I didn't think I needed a slow cooker, but maybe I do.
Until just now.
They also showed off a Mr. Coffee smart coffee maker and a Holmes smart humidifier, all using the Belkin Wemo standard.
All those make sense. That's cool.
That they do. So Belkin, keep an eye out for their Wemo products. Let's see.
New Oculus Rift?
New Oculus Rift. Yeah, let's talk about new Oculus Rift. The Oculus Rift Crystal. Now, this is a Crystal Cove. This is a prototype, but Oculus has really gone for it. The biggest things you're going to notice are a new OLED display, replacing the traditional LCD screens. has a lower latency. It can respond more quickly to movements.
And has better blacks, right? Better dark colors. Yeah.
Yep. And the other big change is that the Crystal Cove now uses a camera to track over 24 infrared dots on the headset, which gives an even better picture of your movement, including leaning and crouching, which apparently it couldn't do as well before. So it can better track your movement.
And this is higher resolution too, right? It's less of that.
It's supposed to be like 1080p now, right?
Yeah, less of that staring through a screen door, sort of.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Indeed. Yeah. So Dan and I both got a chance to try out their first developer device, the Oculus Rift or whatever, or is it still the Oculus Rift? I don't know. But
I think it is still the Oculus Rift.
Yeah, the one that's available today. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, it was pretty freaking cool. But it was like, I mean, it was super low res. It was like, it was very beta-y, but it was very neat. And I understand, so, like, from the article I saw, they did a lot of work to, like, reduce latency and bump the resolution because it, like, you kind of gotta, like, it gives you a certain amount of motion sickness because it's, like, it's almost real, but it's, like, it lags a little bit behind your, like, I don't know, like real life, so it kind of makes you like dizzy, which I think you get used to after a little while. I think the to be honest, the weirdest part is that like it's so real that you want to like walk and you can't walk, because you're in a room.
Yep.
But it's really cool. It is like really cool.
I also had an opportunity. Gosh, probably a couple months ago, I got to try it, and it was really cool. But the first thing I noticed right away was if this is going to be immersive, it needs to be a higher res screen. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I think that was always their plan.
Right.
It was that for that one, it wasn't a priority.
And that's what's great is that they are innovating. So those who got to try it at CES said it was a huge improvement and a really exciting product. So we'll have to wait and see if 2014 is the year we get Oculus to go mainstream. Other quick CES stuff. I don't think any of this is particularly important. Colby, you'll like this. Panasonic and Firefox are bringing Firefox OS to the television. Get excited, people. Although don't get too excited because those will not be coming to the U.S. anytime soon. They didn't say never, but not anytime soon. All they've done is announce that they've partnered. There's no sample of this running on any television. It's merely an announcement. But I thought I'd put that in because we know Colby is our number one fan.
Everybody loves the internet, right?
Our Firefox OS correspondent, Colby Rabideau. Okay, let's move on from CES. If you're interested in more CES coverage, Google it. And with that, let's move on to our picks this week. And we've got a couple great ones. I'm going to jump in first. I chose something from CES. And it's one of those things where I looked at it and I said, why hasn't someone thought of that before? One of those ideas that immediately made sense to me. And it's not for everybody, but it's really a good idea. So, Colby, is the Moto X expandable? Does it have an SD card slot?
I don't think so.
And there's your problem. I have an iPhone. It's not expandable. And how many people really spend the extra to get the 64 gigabyte model? Well, as cameras get better and apps get bigger, storage is a problem. And there's nothing you can do about it until now. So Mophie, who has been a case maker for a long time, known for their battery packs, all of their cases had built-in batteries that would extend the life of your phone. Well, Mophie did what everyone was waiting for someone to do. They updated their Juice Pack line of cases into what is now known as the Space Pack. So they contain a battery and contain extra storage in the case. The cases come in 16 and 32 gigabyte varieties, and it comes with their app called Space, which allows you to organize the files. It'll be $150 for the 16 gig model and $179 for the 32 gigabyte model. Now, again, this isn't for everybody, but I think it's a really smart idea. I think it'll sell really well, and I think it's a great solution for anyone who is opted for the 16 gigabyte and regretted it. I'll put it that way.
I'd be interested to see how that works. Like, I mean, I can't imagine that's going to be very seamless on an iPhone. Like, it's not going to be like, boom, you have more space. It's going to be like this app.
I don't even think iPhones can support any external storage.
They can to a degree. As far as I know how this works, and the reason you have to use their app is because it does things like accesses your camera roll so you can move your photos. It can you'd have to go and pull. It's like using Dropbox, for example, on your phone. It's kind of the same concept where you can pull files in. It's not going to be the easiest experience. I genuinely think that. But I think for the small amount of people who really, like if you were going on a vacation and were only taking your phone as your camera, might not be a bad option.
Or as your only computer.
It's absolutely true. And you may need it if you music or video. The only thing that bugs me is that it is a case, so in 2 years when you get a new phone,
it might not fit.
Yeah, exactly. And these are not cheap. But I think it's a cool idea, and I'm excited to see the reviews when this comes out. They go on sale March 14th from Mophie, who does battery cases in their new Space Pack. So check that out. That's my pick. Cool. Colby. Let's get organized. What is this? Colby?
Colby's computer is combusting.
There looks
like.
Do you want me to throw it to Dan, or you got it?
What? Well, I don't know what you said.
Dan, your pick this week.
Okay. All right.
Because who doesn't love coffee? What is? Oh my! What the hell is this?
Yeah. So
Sean's upset.
I recently completed my transition to wannabe Brooklynite and got a Chemex coffee maker for Christmas. So I don't know if there are any pictures on here that describe how this works, but basically you put these circular filters and you fold them up and you stick them in this top part here, and then you pour finely ground coffee in there, and then you pour some water in, you let it breathe, there's a word for it, bloom, you let the grounds bloom, and then you basically just pour the water over, hence the term pour over, which is this type of brewing, and then it filters out onto the bottom, and you end up with this coffee that is more akin to tea than coffee. So I was never all that into regular coffee because it was just too acidic and too biting, whereas this is like a much smoother experience, even compared to something like an AeroPress. But what really sets it apart are the filters, the Chemex branded filters that are, I don't know what they do, but they really cut out the stuff that makes coffee really acidic, and that's how you get that nice flavor.
It says on their website it's 20 to 30% heavier than competitive brands and removes even the finest sediment particles as well as undesirable oils and fats.
Yeah, you don't end up with, actually that's a good point, I've noticed this but never really remarked on it, you don't end up with any grounds in it at the end, whereas like even like, a good drip coffee maker, you'll end up with some schmutz there, technical term. So yeah, it's really great. It's like, $30, and then you get a pack of like 100 filters is $20, I think, and off you go. And it's a really cheap way to make coffee and get into like the whole grinding coffee thing and trying different grinders and stuff like that. So that's my pick, the ChemexCoffeemaker.com. Also on sale and on display at the Museum of Modern Art.
Really?
Yeah.
These are really beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice wooden heat spacers and everything.
oh yeah, very cool. All right, can you control this with your smartphone?
You cannot. That's part of the Brooklyn charm, I
Oh,
think.
wonderful. Hipster Dan, everybody. All right. Colby, uh,
See?
let's get a little organized here. What is this you've brought for us?
So I, as most of you know, I recently switched to Android as my primary device. And I used to use Sunrise for iOS as my calendar app, which was cool because it brought a bunch of things together. But Sunrise is not on Android, at least as far as I know. I'm pretty sure it's not. So I had to find something new. And what I found was any.do. I don't know, like any.do. And it's pretty cool. I guess I'll show you guys. Maybe. Just kidding, I will. So it's neat. They have this nice little video that plays on their website. But it's actually a suite of apps. So they I believe they started with like a task app, which I kind of like in its own right. It's cool. It like asks you every morning at like 9 o'clock, or you can set the time, but it'll ask you like, what do you want to do today? Which is kind of neat. Like I have it set for when I'm on the bus to work, so it asks me, and I can like come up with some things to do. But they also have a calendar, which is really cool. It's really nice looking, like super flat and cool. And they put these pretty pictures behind all your things, and I like it a lot. It works with your Google Calendar, and apparently they also have a mail app coming soon, which I'm looking forward to because the stock Android mail app is not great, and the alternatives I've found so far are also not great, bordering on worse. So, yeah. That's my pick. If you need a calendar for Android, check it out.
This is why it's nice having an Android guy on the show. So we're not iPhone only. We're not biased, and that is available for iOS, by the way.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, their website says so. So
Cool.
if you are on iOS, we're including you as well. So so check it out. Any.do. D-O. Very good. All right. Wow, we got through a heck of a show here.
We made good time.
We did. We hustled. Well, I didn't think anyone really wanted to hear about, texting on your Galaxy Gear, the Bluetooth cassette,
The Bluetooth cassette is awesome.
The Bluetooth cassette is cool, but it combines two great technologies, but I feel like something just feels wrong about that. I don't know what, but I just don't feel
It
good.
seems like, why get that when you can get one of the ones with the cord for like $7 and it probably works even better?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I don't doubt that at all. But just the fact that someone took the time to make that is pretty great.
Yes.
Well, we thank all of you for listening. We hope you enjoyed our coverage of CES this year. Maybe next year we'll be there in person, though probably not. But you never know, but probably not. But we hope we brought you all the news. We love feedback. Please give it to us. Give it to us at don'tpanicshow@gmail.com, and, of course, on our Facebook page always, facebook.com/don'tpanicshow. Let's see, the website, don'tpanic.io. It's great. You should go there. And there you'll get links to all of our old episodes, live episodes when they're live, and, of course, links to our RSS feed. And iTunes as well. Subscribe. That's how I get the show, and I'm on it. So I think if it's good enough for me, I think it's good enough for you. So subscribe, get it right away when it gets put up on the feed. And I know these guys worked hard to get the feed nice and shiny and working well with iTunes. So make their work not in vain.
And less annoying, so you can get it faster.
Yes. So definitely subscribe. It's the best way to go. Do you guys have anything else before we send it off? No. Okay.
Nope.
Well, that's good. Well, we hope you all enjoyed the show this week. We will be back next Monday with a whole host of technology stories. But until then, we'll wish you all a wonderful good night.
Bye.